Spring is in the air at Global Voice Broadcasting. Fresh new shows are hitting the airwaves every day. Shows about all the things that matter to you in your life. Music, fashion, celebs, and more. It's all here, and it's getting better every day. Only at Global Voice Broadcasting.
Hello?
Hey.
I don't know that my mic's working.
Maybe we just can't hear it back in our headphones. You guys, this is episode 1.
I think you're talking to your mic.
We're experiencing a little bit of technical difficulties. Can you hear me?
Hello? There we are.
Hey, everybody. This is so exciting. I'm so happy to be going on this live journey with you. This is how real it's going to be. All right, everybody. So this is our show, Into. Welcome. This is an interactive show. It's about gay issues. I'm Matt Dempsey. I'm going to be your resident psychotherapist.
And I'm Jimmy Fowley. And I'm just trying to get my free therapy through Matt Dempsey. So I'm a part of the show.
Well, we'll see. Anyway, so here, we really want this to be an interactive experience. We really want it to be kind of like an open conversation for everybody. So please make sure that you are joining us in a variety of ways. One is you can go to Facebook Live. I'm actually on Facebook Live right now. So you can go to Matthew J. Dempsey Psychotherapy for that.
And I'm on Periscope, so you can just go to my Twitter, and it's at Jimmy Fowley.
Yep.
And yeah.
And you can also tweet at us, so that's at Into Talk Show. That's for both of us. And we're also really hopeful that we're going to be able to have you guys call in with questions. Right now we are still having a little bit more technical difficulties, so we're gonna have to wait on that.
Hopefully no one's listening, so it doesn't seem bad. But I guess we'll find out.
We're going to find out, and we're going to let you know if that comes up, so then you can call in, so that would be awesome. I'll give you the phone number, and I'll let you know when we're going to be able to do that, when that actually happens. But here we are. This is the show. Oh my God, Jimmy, how do you feel?
I feel good. It's crazy. We've been talking about this for so long, and now it's actually happening, and it's really scary.
I know. I'm actually... I'm kind of scared too. This is crazy, but this is actually kind of the biggest intention for me of wanting to do a show like this is to kind of be vulnerable. You know what I mean? It's like you and I are just coming in here exactly as we are. We're not being characters. We're not putting up a front, and we're just going to be just that. You know what I mean? And that's kind of a scary thing. So we want to be able to do that so that everybody else can, you know, kind of find a little bit more comfort in being themselves too, be more authentic.
Yeah, totally. I know when Matt asked me, you know, he talked to me about the idea of the show, and I was like terrified because I really never do things as myself. I just do like sketch comedy videos where I'm playing a character, and to, you know, talk about these important issues, it's like so out of my comfort zone. But I think, you know, when it just seems like such a great idea, and it, you know, I think that it's scary to kind of open yourself up, but I think that ultimately, like, that's just where the best stuff lies, like comedy, or, you know, even if it's not like inherently funny, it's just like a great, you know, conversation.
Totally. I think there's a quote that's Eleanor Roosevelt that says you should do at least one thing a day that scares you. I think maybe one thing a day is a lot. Maybe like a couple things a week sound pretty good. But I think it's a good. I think that there's like something in that in terms of being able to head in a direction where you actually do feel some fear, because that means then that something important lies there. You know what I mean? You're actually working towards something that matters to you and that you care about. And it's kind of like easy for us to want to avoid things that feel uncomfortable. But when you can reframe it in that way, that it's actually it's kind of more of a guidepost towards something more authentic and impactful, then it's not going in vain.
Yeah, totally.
Right?
Matt, how do you feel about tonight and everything?
I feel actually kind of awesome about this because, like, I love you and I love getting to, like, chat with you, and the fact that we can open up our conversations to everybody else. But, like, I feel kind of scared too. Like, it's totally vulnerable.
Scary. And we did our, like, kind of we had a few comments about me using the word like too much, so I'm going to try to double the word like and see if I can just hit a new, break my own record of 145.
I support as a friend. I support you.
But yeah, so when we did that, the soft launch kind of our first video, and just having that out there, and that was an uncomfortable experience too because it was so new.
Yeah, totally.
And but it was awesome to thank you guys for the people who commented, and I apologize to the man with the stringy hair who was very offended about my innocuous comment about having stringy hair. So yeah, it's a learning experience.
Yeah, but you were awesome, Jimmy. I know that you were kind of feeling a little out of your comfort zone, but honestly, I thought you were great. So I loved having that conversation with you. I'm curious, what in doing this show, what would you say is like your biggest hope?
My biggest hope, I think, just for people to, I think about those kids who are in random parts of the world and they don't have the support. It's easy because we're in LA and we're surrounded by gay people and we're constantly having these conversations. I think for me, for someone to be like, wow, this feels like so comforting that people are going through this, and just like they feel that there's the support. And then also just have a positive, you're such a positive person, and I think like even in my comedy, I'm always kind of making fun of those stereotypes, and it's very satirical, but it's also a little bit, it's not mean, but it's like a little bit harsh. So it's nice to do something that's, I think I'm a positive person, so to come back and do something that's like
totally,
even if it's kind of cheesy, but yeah.
No, I remember being 16 years old, and I was just starting to have a sense that like something was going on with me, and so, but I didn't have any place to go with it, you know what I mean, in terms of like, coming out, identifying as gay. I didn't have a place to go, and I remember going to like on AOL, going to like chat rooms, and not even going into the chat room, but going to where you just see the screen names. And would just like private message people and just be like, I think I'm gay, but I don't know. Like, what do I do? So I think the fact that we have an opportunity to do something like this now, and we have got a different platform, so we can just like, have this kind of dialogue and this conversation that's open to everybody, especially people who are really just sorting through some things and figuring things out. I think that's awesome, and it feels so good for me to be in a position now where I can offer that back.
That's great.
You're great.
Oh, thank you.
So, all right, why don't we jump into our topic tonight?
Yeah.
So we're going to be talking about femme shaming.
Femme shaming, guys, it's real. I didn't know that there was a term, femme shaming. Well, I always thought it was just like people calling me a faggot, and that was just what it was.
Totally,
yeah. Whole thing.
But it is a thing, and it's funny though because I didn't. It was easy for me. It's easy for me to not be aware of like who even understands what it is. Like today, I just threw out the question on social media, like what's your guys' questions on femme shaming? And so everybody had like kind of a bunch of random questions, but there are actually a couple people at Aid9001, maybe it's Adi, and also Ivan Kruger. Both of them were like, "What's femme shaming?" And I was like, "Oh man, people are just not even aware of the concept or the name of it." How would you like, just in kind of layman's terms, what would you say femme shaming is?
I mean, for me, I feel like it's, first of all, I didn't realize it also applies to straight women as well. Did you know that? Mm-hmm. Okay, of course you did. You're like a therapist. But so I didn't know that because I was doing some research. I was like, oh, it's like this whole thing. But in terms of gay men, just being more feminine, and then also just putting down people who are, more feminine than masculine. So just kind of having that like, is it called hierarchical binaries?
Whoa,
guys,
Jimmy!
I came
Hello. Someone did their homework.
I think I heard that like phrase used once in college, and I was just like, someday
I'm gonna pull that out of my back pocket. Yeah. No, that's really great too. Yeah, especially because femme shaming, and I think especially kind of mainly in the context that we're talking about it in the gay community, it's how we can, as gay men, put each other down based on, you know, kind of like traditionally defined feminine traits or characteristics, right? So like it's kind of like if you think about like some of the kind of most over the top stereotypes of gay men tending to be really flamboyant and like talk with their hands a lot and have a higher pitched voice and, you know, have a lot of kind of theatrics, like that kind of stuff. We can put each other down for it. And it's in part, actually, it's mainly because of the fact that we live, it's two parts actually. One, because we live in a misogynistic culture, so where we rank men and women, and women is, you know, typically valued less because they're more emotional and there's just so much more like vulnerability that comes along with that.
By the way, is that predominantly an American thing, or do you think it's across?
I wouldn't say it's just American, but definitely it's definitely kind of like deeply entrenched into our society and our culture. But even in like a lot of like Latin cultures, the whole idea of like machoism and machismo and things like that. So that's there. And then when you attach those feminine characteristics and traits to men, then it like really challenges your own masculinity, you know, and it's viewed as something that's like a really negative thing. And so we can use that then, putting other people down, putting other gay men down, as if it's a bad thing. So it is kind of sexist and misogynistic because it's basically saying if you act like a woman, that's not a good thing. And then it's also homophobic, you know, because in a way it's also kind of like it's like showing a certain part of yourself that otherwise we're supposed to feel shameful about, or that there's something wrong. You know, it's like us internalizing that homophobia.
Yeah, and it makes sense because if you're like a gay kid and you are feminine and you get, you know, made fun of for that, you hold on to that, and so then when you're around all these other people, it's like what they say you hate about others, the thing you hate the most about yourself, and if that's a learned thing, then we all come together as gay men like despising that. I mean, not all people, obviously.
Have you ever been femme shamed?
Have I?
Give it.
Well, you know, it's funny. It's also hard to. I feel like it's hard to know how feminine you really are. Or like, you know, I definitely don't think that you know, when people find out that I'm gay, they're not like, oh my god, I'm totally shocked. Like, I think it's like I seem like a gay guy. But I think the various degrees of when I started putting videos online, like, actually, can I pull up one of the comments?
Yeah, totally.
This was a comment I did with a video I did with Brian Jordan Alvarez, and the video was like, what happens when gay guys reject you? And so basically, Brian, in the sketch, Brian like hits on me, and I'm like, no. I basically put him down, and then a lot of the comments were like I'll just read this one. This is from Eric1703. As soon as the blonde opened his mouth and the femme bubbles came out, that would have been the end of the conversation. Fembots are truly not attractive. That's like pretty harsh, right?
Yeah, that is pretty harsh.
And I think I responded with,
wait, what did you? So when that happened, what was like what was the first like feeling that came up for you?
I was like, I want to die.
Yeah.
Like I was like, oh my, and I think I responded. This is what I responded. This is kind of funny. I wrote, ha ha. This I like directly to him. Oh, sorry, I just hit the mic. This is my response. By the way, this is so me out of my comfort zone. I'm just me being me, baby. You can still be feminine and be sexy as fuck. And then I hashtagged it. I love sissy boys. But like, I did not feel that confident. Like I was like faking it online.
Yeah.
And then, because I was kind of like, yeah, it was.
Well, totally, because it cuts so deep, and it can cut so deep because it really does go directly to that like super vulnerable place, you know, when it feels like somebody's calling you out and putting you on blast and like cutting you down because of it too, that hurts. You know what I mean? Especially doing anything where like you're creating content for like public consumption and it has to do about being gay.
Yeah.
You know, to have those comments, those can be pretty dirty and those can be pretty nasty, and it like really, really stings. Like I remember there was this one time when this is maybe like 4 years ago, 5 years ago, something like that. I was living in New York, and I think I might have told you this story before, but I was with a few friends of mine, and like super comfort zone, like with all of my close friends at Boxers in Chelsea, you know, like been there a ton, so like very familiar, whatever. So like free to be myself, right? And at one point, I think I like left for a little bit, like went to the bathroom or something. I came back to my group of friends, and there was this straight girl that was sitting at the bar, like with my friends. And so I was over and just like chatting and stuff, and then I was just like, "Hey, what's up, guys?" Like being like me, you know. And the girl goes, "Oh, I thought he was hot until he opened his mouth."
Yeah.
And I was like, let me collect my Louis Vuitton purses and put them back in my mouth. I'm so sorry. But it was one of those things that like in the moment I was like, you know, because you're so caught off guard.
You're caught off guard, and it's like the other weird thing is, especially with that comment about being feminine, it really at the core of it, like, who cares? Do you know what I mean? Even if you are a feminine guy, like, why is that so bad?
Well, so that's the thing, and it's very intellectually we can figure out, obviously, you know, and understand that it's not a bad thing, you know, that for us to be however we are, however we present ourselves, however we express ourselves, there's nothing wrong with any of that. But so much of it is so culturally and societally defined in terms of what's appropriate and what's not. And so there's like a very specific, you know, it's gender norms. So when you're a man, you're supposed to be like masculine, which is this whole socially constructed concept, this idea, you know, and that you're supposed to be kind of like a little bit of like that, like Marlboro man. Like you're not supposed to be really emotionally like open or expressive or available in certain ways, because then that shows like weakness. Yeah. So like don't show that. You know what I mean? And then especially as a man, if you're showing anything that kind of goes against that, like whether you're just gay and out, and if you're expressing anything that could suggest that you're gay, then it's like you're putting yourself in a really vulnerable position, and it can be scary as shit. Yeah. You know, because then you're leaving yourself open to be attacked and like hurt by other people.
And side note, Matt, did you like, when that happened, did you kind of have like this crisis, like, am I super feminine? Like, were you like, am I giving off this vibe of, you know, like, did it change your perception of yourself? And also, have you ever like actively tried to seem more masculine even when you were an out man?
That's such a good question. I would say in that moment when that happened, it was totally caught off guard. I think my immediate reaction, aside from like clamming up, was to be like F her. And also like what, and I was also pissed off that my friends didn't rally in support. Like they laughed. Yeah, and I think
were you ever like, hey, that kind of fucked me up, or like?
I think I mentioned it to my friends, but I think it was just kind of a number of things. Like like everybody was just like, I'm not expecting it, or thought that maybe it was a joke, and whatever.
By the way, if you're Matt's friend and you were at the bar and you're listening to this, you know, it's all coming out now. So I hope you feel really fucking stupid.
Idiot. Nah, but it was fine. But I think I like the question though about, you know, have I ever actively tried to like change any part of that? And there's not like any specific moments that come to mind, but I think especially I do find myself that if I'm talking to straight guys, if I'm to be totally honest and vulnerable, I think that I do kind of like dial it back a little bit.
Why do you think that is?
Because I think you know, it totally just comes from that place, you know, of like shame of I need to be like, I need to not be as expressive, or I don't want to make them feel uncomfortable.
Totally.
Which is really so much more about like me not you know, like me not feeling just comfortable in myself to express myself, you know. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, we have a call?
Whoa!
Oh my god, this is so exciting. You're gonna be the first call.
Okay, Jimmy and I were like super stoked to take calls. We weren't sure if it was gonna happen because there was technical difficulties. But
Oh wait. I think I answered it. Okay, I think we answered
it. But I think we have a caller. Is there anybody there? Hello? Hi, are you there?
They hung up.
Okay, so
you were the first caller.
You were the first caller, and I definitely think I heard something. So
I heard something so
I think it
small.
legitimately happened, you guys.
Matt, we're gonna look back on this first episode and be like, yikes.
Like, who like these guys do a
Like
show?
the opening of the show is, hello.
Hi?
I don't think our mics. It's growing pains. By the way, we have Ryan here, who's our setting up everything in case you see us refer to him. He's amazing.
He is helping everything.
He yelled at me when
along.
I went to get a drink.
When you jiggled your iced coffee.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. Cool.
My bad.
All right.
Still learning.
So, you know what? I'm kind of like one thing real quick before we start kind of transitioning. But
Sorry, I'm listening. I'm just turning up Periscope.
Great.
I turned it off.
One thing, what's your thoughts about hookup culture? Like
Whoa,
hookup app
we're going
culture,
there.
especially when people put out their no femmes.
I mean, this is such a good segue. I want to get your opinion on this.
Okay.
Because it's related. So I think I actually mentioned to you, my friend Brian. I've mentioned him only twice in the first 5 minutes of the show. But he shared this article that I wrote about being masked. It was just like, I write this like Huffington Post article, and it's really just like a couple sentences for my videos. And he shared it, and then this guy commented, and I'll go ahead and read you that comment if that's cool.
Sure.
He said, and it just talks about, the article just talks about pretending to be masked when people ask you if you're masculine. Like, they're so direct. Mm-hmm. And so I wasn't like, this is bullshit. I was just kind of like, yeah, we do this, and his comment was, to write off a preference for, quote, masculine as wrong is frankly just as blind and narrow as to say feminine is wrong. Use your head, people. It goes both ways. But of course, we like to burn some point of view and then congratulate ourselves on how progressive we are. Hypocrisy. What's your opinion of that?
So to me, it sounds like that he's just kind of calling out the idea of like preference.
Yeah.
What was the question? It was just kind of about, or his statement was just about what, like?
I think it was just about like, how should I come out and say that this isn't okay to be interested in masculine guys when it's just a preference, and basically it's just as bad to say what I'm saying, which I wasn't really saying anything other than like, hey.
Well, I think it is interesting, and it's kind of a tricky thing to answer, because I think two things can be true at the same time. So I think that preference is like kind of within this scope is actually very much influenced by sexism and homophobia, and at the same time, I think can be okay in certain terms. So let me clarify that, because it's not okay if we're putting people down. It's not okay if we're saying, no, you're not attractive because you possess these specific traits and qualities. But the erotic themes of our lives are deeply entrenched in our childhoods and in the society that we're brought up in. And so there's going to be so much of that that's going to influence who we find ourselves drawn to and who we find ourselves attracted to. And so it's going to be less effective for us to say, no, stop, you just have to be more attracted to these certain people, because attraction doesn't work that way. It's so not a conscious process.
Exactly.
But what we need to be doing is, overall as a community, being so much more mindful of these things and 100% so much more supportive of each other in terms of how we are lifting each other up, how we're being kind to each other, how we're being accepting of each other, how we're not putting people down, how we're not saying things like no femmes very explicitly in those ways, because we have to collectively move the idea along that all presentations, all ways that we can express ourselves are totally okay. And especially if it's exactly who we are and we're able to authentically express that, then 100%.
That's such a good point.
And the more that we can do that as a community, then the more that will inevitably shape the attractions that we have too. So we can't get at it from the wrong angle and like chastise people and say, no, be attracted to this. But we do need to be so much more supportive.
Exactly. Encourage that. Now, what would you say to the person who's like, look, like, I just am not attracted to feminine guys, so I put it out there on like my Grindr or my Tinder because I don't want to waste their time. But at the same time, and my thought on that, it still puts out, like what you're saying, that negative message. So someone who's seeing that is like,
totally.
But then it's like, what's the alternative? Like,
Well, I think the alternative is to just be aware of the fact that you're coming from a very wounded community. You know what I mean? And we have to be responsible with each other.
Totally.
Because we're what we have. You know what I mean? Especially as gay people and as a part of the overall like LGBT community, the difference for us as a marginalized group of people is the fact that most of us don't come from families who also have that same experience. So we have to really learn from each other and grow with each other and heal with each other. And so this is a part of what it means to be a community, is to, you know, like just be that much more loving and to know that everything is going to have a cost. So if you want to save those like extra couple minutes, just know that it's the converse of that is the energy that you're putting out there, which is less accepting and less loving.
Yeah. And also like how to be so closed off that you're like, you know, you never know who you could connect with and like who could change your mind about something.
Totally. Yeah. What about, okay, so why don't we go to a few of the tweets and questions that people
I feel like
people
are
sent
tweeting
us.
at me right now too.
Yeah. All right, let's see. Okay. So I thought this was a really great question. This is coming from @ZaneAustin98, who said, "Why do we, the gay community, shame our own? Don't we all need to stand together to combat the struggles we deal with in society?" I guess that's kind of I was kind of answering that before, but any follow-ups to that?
Wait, what?
Why? You did this in the dry run too.
I did this. This is my third
Pay
time
attention.
doing it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's, why do we, the gay community, shame our own? Don't we all need to stand together to combat the struggles we deal with in society?
That's kind of what you were saying about the community.
Yeah.
I think, like, it's just when you have a lot of people who had, not everyone had this experience, but feeling like an outcast, feeling so different, to go through the coming out process and really do a lot of, like, soul searching and to endure. I think a lot of us had bullying growing up. So all of us together, it is like we're all still healing.
Yeah.
And so I think, but because we're still carrying that hurt, it's easy for us to lash out on someone who's maybe we feel, I don't know, not superior to, but like we feel like they're an easy target.
Well, but I don't think that's actually, I mean, I think that might be good verbiage to use, superior, because it's easy for us to feel like that there's ranking, that some people are better than others, that some gay men are more valuable than others based on like how macho or masculine they can be, because that's just what society has promoted as better. But it is really important, again, for us to band together and, you know, collectively be aware of what we're putting out there. And it's not just because of a moral issue of you just have to do the right thing. This isn't an issue of morality, it's an issue of psychology. And the psychology behind it is that the deeper parts of my, you know, consciousness doesn't see a difference between me and you. And so if I'm treating you a certain way, and if I'm really limited in terms of the kinds of acceptance I'm willing to offer you, 100% in the same exact degree, I'm going to be limiting myself too. So the more that we're able to promote love and kindness for everybody else, and an openness and far less defensiveness, then the more we're going to be able to do that for ourselves too. And then we have more of an open heart and, you know, and just like a better experience overall. All right, let's go to the next one. So there was another question from, I like this one because this is asking about practical stuff that you can do. This is coming from Constantijopol. His name is Joe. So very cute
Joe,
name.
I'm such a
Love
huge
it.
fan of
What are
that.
some methods you can use to combat the societal pressures that may prevent you from expressing yourself more effeminately than you normally do? Did you hear it?
Yeah, I did, but that one's tricky, so I'm just gonna.
That one's tricky. I'm going to read it one more time. Okay, what are some methods you can use to combat the societal pressures that may prevent you from expressing yourself more effeminately than you normally do? He's basically saying, how can you just be more comfortable? Like, what can you do to actually just be more comfortable in your own skin and not feel like you have to hide?
What do you do when you're in a situation where you're like, this feels uncomfortable, or I feel like nervous?
Yeah. If I'm in a situation like that, I really try to plug in and be aware of myself. And so if I find myself wanting to resist or dial things back, then I just try to check in and allow myself to just be more of myself, knowing that it's uncomfortable or there might be a bit of an awkwardness to it, but it's important for for myself.
But how do you become sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
How do you become more of yourself? Because I think that's a common thing that people say, like, be yourself. And it's like, I find it to be, when I'm trying to be myself, I'm like, I feel like I'm so not myself, you know?
Right. Like you become too conscious of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like when people are like, you know, like, don't be nervous or like smile. And you're like,
Totally.
okay.
Well,
Sorry,
being yourself is inherently a vulnerable process. So that is not to say that it's not going to feel awkward or feel uncomfortable. And that's the biggest thing that I think I would want to express to everybody, which is, you know, it takes a lot of courage to do that. So it's not about trying to get rid of the fear, but it is about, even if your voice is shaking, how you can still speak up. You know, so just checking in and paying attention to when you feel uncomfortable and what it might be, and how you still might be able to just take the risk and put yourself out there and be as much of your kind of like normal self, really, your authentic self, as much as you can.
Yeah, I think for me, like, one example of not, you know, being myself, or what I do sometimes, like, I feel like I limit myself. Like, if I'm around people I feel intimidated by, I might not like speak up as much because I'm like, oh, that's stupid, or I'm like judging myself.
Yeah.
So even saying things that I feel like my first instinct to say, even like if I'm like, oh, that's stupid, or that's not funny, or like no one cares,
Yeah.
just say it anyways, even if it's, I feel like it's awkward or it's
Totally.
bombing. It's like just inserting myself in the situation.
Well, and that also brings it back to us doing this show.
Mm-hmm.
Like, neither of us had any experience doing like this kind of broadcasting before, certainly not doing like a live show or anything, and it's like really, it's uncomfortable, and obviously we're stumbling our way through it a little bit, but just the fact that we're able to tolerate the discomfort enough and the fear enough that we can put ourselves in this position is promoting for ourselves more of a positive self-concept.
Matt, what would you have done if like you called to like pick me up and I just never responded, like, and you never heard from me again? Like, I just freaked out.
I would probably force myself to come here and figure
Just
it
do
out.
it?
I would
Oh
make
my God.
I would make
How-
Ryan.
you would
sit in
never
your
forgive
seat.
me. Ryan, would you have done it? Yeah, he's nodding his head.
Yeah,
yes.
he would. I'm kind of curious. I just want to check in on Facebook Live and just see what people are saying. Hey, everybody. Hi from Ohio.
Well, people are talking. By the way, I just referenced my Periscope. 2 people were following me.
That's awesome. I love it. Heath Allen says hi from Ohio. Justin Smith says hello from Massachusetts.
Are they? They're just saying hi.
Yeah, they're saying hi, and I love it.
I'm from Massachusetts.
Whoa.
That's a place. Speaking of femme
family.
shame, yeah, I'm like he's actually my cousin. No, I feel like Massachusetts is a place where it's like very, you know, has that. I mean, Boston is a very liberal city, but like around the area, Massachusetts is very homophobic, I feel.
Yeah.
It's very like all the guys play sports. It's super macho. So yeah, I wonder if Justin, was that his name?
Yeah, Justin.
If you have any experience,
Let us know, Justin. We want to hear. All right. So,
Kill your feeds because it's dropping our.
yes. All right. I'm gonna hop off Facebook Live. This was a lot of fun, so I'm gonna say goodbye there. But we need the bandwidth, so we'll see you later.
are my 2 people killing? Let them go. Okay, yeah.
Let them go. Thanks,
Sorry, guys.
No, that's awesome.
I've loved knowing both of you.
It was great. It was a wonderful, intimate experience. Okay.
Ryan, so we're encouraging you guys to call in if you guys have any sort of.
Is it working now, Rye? We're
It-
good?
it's good, you guys.
Hey, you guys, okay, but you're going to need the phone number, right? So call in. If you can call in, we would be obsessed with you, okay?
We really want to
so
call. I mean, a call is kind of ideal.
that
for
would be
this
so
situation.
fun. Okay, but anyway, so the phone number is 323-522-5482. Again, it's 323-522-5482. So we have a call.
Wow, you guys. Oh my God.
Yes, hello. Are you there?
I am here.
That's awesome. What's your name and where are you calling from?
My name is Justin. I'm calling from Philadelphia.
Hey,
Hey,
Justin. How are you?
Thanks for
Hey,
Justin. How
I'm
does it
doing
feel?
well.
How does it feel to know that you're the first caller ever on the show?
It feels pretty damn good.
Good,
You guys are doing a great job.
Thanks. So,
I saw the post. I follow you guys on Instagram, and I saw the posts, and I'm really enjoying the show.
oh, that's
Awesome. Thank
awesome.
you.
Thanks
Thanks
for
for
calling
watching.
in. Yeah. So what question do you have for us?
Well, yeah, just on the topic, I've recently entered a new relationship, and I guess, I know if we would put labels on it, I guess I'm mask, and my boyfriend is very femme, very
Okay.
proud and femme, and I love those qualities about him. That's it's part of what draws me to him.
Yeah.
But then in society, it's kind of tough. It's a lot tougher than I thought it would be, actually being, walking around in public. In certain areas in Philadelphia aren't as safe as others. And he's bold. He will be on my arm and show displays of affection. And I don't really know kind of what to say to him when I'm uncomfortable with doing that, because it's not always safe. I'm the mask guy. I guess I'm going to be the one to. And we actually got gay bashed the other day.
No, are you
whoa.
serious?
Was it
So-
physical or verbal? Both?
No, it was just verbal.
Okay.
Somebody driving down the street, but in that situation, it could get physical.
Yeah.
And so, what do I sit down and talk with him and say, look, you need to butch it up? Obviously, not in those words, but how do I go about expressing my
Yeah.
unease?
Totally. I think that's a really great question.
That's a great question.
Jimmy, what's your gut tell you?
Oh man, I was so hoping you would take it. I was curious what you were gonna say because this.
Well, I have
mean,
some thoughts, but I just like what's your visceral gut response to it?
I think it's tough because I had that experience too when I was first coming out, really self-conscious about even, being with a guy in general, even if just, whether or not he was like more masculine or feminine, like
Yeah.
I, was very conscious of the fact. And even still sometimes, like, because you never know. You hear these crazy stories of people getting, assaulted. And I really relate to that in being in public with someone
Yeah.
and how people would
Respond
yeah,
to
and
it
view it.
overall?
I've always been kind of
Yeah.
self-conscious, so I think that my thing, if I was experiencing that, I think I would have to kind of sit in the acceptance of like, what am I so afraid of? Like, what is the fear? Like, kind of follow the train, the fear, and see. Because I don't think it's. My gut tells me it's not an issue of telling him to change the way that your boyfriend is, because he's just being him. So it's like, I think if I was him and you maybe said something to me that would be kind of traumatizing to hear my boyfriend be like, oh, can you butch it up a little bit?
Right.
Because then I've dealt with so much like self-conscious,
Totally,
so,
yeah.
I don't know. What do you think, Matt?
No, well, I mean, I think that it's a real issue, because there are safety concerns that you want to be mindful of, and I think it's totally legitimate that there are some concerns that you're having for the safety of yourself and for both of you, and I think that is okay to express that part of it. And if there are times where you're really feeling like your own physical safety is in jeopardy, then you can, if you want to like detach, not holding each other's hands or arm for a moment just until you pass through whatever that situation is, I think that's okay, because you have to make sure that your physical well-being is tended to at a baseline. Beyond that, it's going to be less about him needing to be any other kind of way or him butching it up, because he 100% has to be exactly who he is and express himself as he is. And the advantage to that, the advantage for you in that situation also is that, yeah, of course you're going to feel uncomfortable. There's going to be, a lot of like nerves that come up and all of that. But if you're able to lean into just greater acceptance of him, then again, that's going to be something that's going to be really helpful for you too, because even though he might present in some different ways, what he's expressing is still the same thing that you possess too, which is just like who you are as a gay man, and so it gives you an opportunity to employ and practice just overall greater love and greater acceptance. But again, you know, I would say just at a baseline, if you're finding that there are some moments where you need to just make sure that your physical safety is okay, I think again that's an okay thing to express to your boyfriend, and the two of you through communicating and you know and having those chats, then you can decide what's the best, you know, plan of action in those moments, and you can signal to each other and like take it from there. But otherwise, really making sure that both of you have the space to be exactly who you are authentically. Does that make sense?
That's a great. It makes perfect sense, guys, and
Cool.
great answers.
Yeah. Awesome.
Appreciate
Just
it.
out of curiosity, how long have you guys been together?
It's interesting. I came out of an 11-year relationship in January, and then I met him. I'd say I met my current boyfriend via Grindr about 3 weeks after that. So it's only been official for a month.
Oh, okay.
So, gotcha.
So it's been a big learning curve then, as you guys are figuring this out, right?
And what about your 11-year relationship? Was that a man also a little bit more on the feminine side, or was he?
He was, but not as demonstratively, really. Like my current one, he doesn't mind, you know, carrying a handbag from time to time, and he'll have some big glasses, you know, and I love it. I think it's great. Like I said, it's part of what drew me to him, and it's not all the time.
Yep.
But like you said, it is kind of a learning curve for me because
totally.
My ex was more discreet.
Well, and what a great opportunity in this new relationship to really just like celebrate the hell out of them and give yourself a chance to feel all that love. Awesome. Okay, well, thank you so much for calling in.
I wish we had like
Thanks,
merchandise
guys.
we could like send you to be like first caller, but I mean, as you can tell by the beginning of our show, we're really merchandise is way
little
on the
low budge.
horizon.
Yeah. But we'll never forget you. So thanks for calling in. All right, so I think we're starting to near the end.
Are you serious? Oh my god, that went by. How long has it been?
So quick. It's been it's 8:42, so we're wrapping up.
We're at the end.
We've got a few minutes. Jimmy, do you want to?
Okay, so I'll give you guys a little backstory on this. I had proposed. I don't know if it was Ryan who came up with the idea, or producer, or if it was me. It was probably a little bit of both, right, Ryan? Mm-hmm. So, people want to know what's Matt like as a therapist and have so many questions. And I kind of wanted to see Matt in action performing therapy.
I'm a little scared.
He's totally scared. And so I wanted to do it with this puppet, and I would like give him these, fake scenarios and just kind of see what he said. And it could be a little thing that we do at the end of the show. Now, we've never done this before. Matt's never even seen the puppet. Matt has hated this idea from the beginning.
I literally have no clue what this is about. Why don't we just launch into it?
Yeah, okay, great. So, so you're gonna treat it. So you're gonna get to treat this like this is someone maybe you've already had a consultation with, or actually this is like the consultation.
This is my initial consultation. Okay.
All right, and pretend like I'm not even here and that this is just the puppet.
I don't even see you anymore.
Can we see? Okay, great. Oh, that's perfect because I'm a righty. Okay, so pretend this is
What is this puppet's name?
Tristan.
Tristan.
All right, and begin.
Okay. Hi, Tristan. Hi, nice to meet you. I'm so glad that we're getting a chance.
My dad died last night.
That sounds really traumatic. How are you doing today?
I'm just fucking with you. I just want to see if you're listening.
Okay. So great. So why don't we start off the consultation? I just kind of like to get a sense of, just kind of like who you are, and if you have any questions for me, feel free to ask. But otherwise, why don't you just tell me a little bit about what brings you in for the consultation today?
Well, I was at Coachella last weekend. Felt like all these guys wanted to fuck. And I'm just nervous, like, will I ever meet a man?
What was that like for you being at Coachella where everybody was really, charged sexually?
Turn me on.
Oh, okay.
Hey,
so you
Matt,
really liked it.
You single?
Okay.
Are you done? Okay, we tried it.
No, we did it, yeah.
You guys, if you're
okay.
listening to that, give Matt a round of applause. I mean, can you imagine? Ryan's crying.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that. Matt, you're such a good sport.
By the way, can I just say, if that was a legitimate consultation, we probably would have like worked our way through wrapping that up a little bit quicker.
Really? Because you'd be like, I can't handle this.
I would probably snuff that conversation like pretty early.
What
on.
was your least favorite part of if that was a real person? What was the part that was like I can't handle
the fact that he started off with a lie that was incredibly manipulative and provocative. That's something that we would call borderline personality disorder.
Oh my God! So that we figured out the name for the puppet. It's Tristan the borderline.
is BPD.
Yeah.
Yes. Anyway.
Well, anyways, you guys, this was so fun. I was actually really nervous, and it was just a blast. The time flew by, and
this was so fun. I love doing this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so glad that I'm getting to do this with you, Jimmy, and also really looking forward to in the future when we get more viewers and we can have people call in. So we really encourage you to call in and to
check
tweet
it out.
us.
Tweet us if you have questions, and we will have some guests. We have some awesome topics coming up, just talking about stuff that we deal with in the gay community and don't always get a chance to connect over it.
And to have these conversations. So I just want to say, everybody, thanks for joining tonight. Definitely be sure to come back next Monday at 8 o'clock Pacific time. And next week, I think we're going to talk about sex. Is the topic.
Oh my God! That's gonna be
There's
really
a lot.
hot.
There's a lot. It might be a two-parter maybe. Anyway, so also be sure to check out our social media and follow us. It's at Into Talk Show. And otherwise, we look forward to seeing you again next week.
See you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye.